What's up, YouTube? I'm back. I'm Darren, the bow-tie fragrance guy on the channel, where we talk about fragrances and fashion. So if you are interested in fragrances and looking great, then you found the right channel. Go ahead and consider clicking the subscribe button. And go ahead and take another second as well to click that bell icon as well, just to make sure when I upload new content, you get notified so you don't miss out on new content that's uploaded on this channel. So guys, on today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 of the best citrus fragrances of all time. I love the genre or the category of citrus based fragrances, primarily citrus aromatic fragrances, because when I first got into collecting, when I would search for fragrances, I can't remember the website that I used to use oftentimes early in my fragrance journey, but I remember you were able to kind of categorize fragrances by the classification or the genre of fragrances that you were looking for. And without fail, every time that I would go to the website to search for a fragrance, I would go citrus fragrances. That was all that I searched for, because in my opinion, it was never a bad time to smell clean, fresh, and citrusy. So that was my favorite genre of fragrances when I first started collecting, and I still love citrus fragrances to this day. Now, since then, of course, I've started to love a lot of other types of fragrances as well, especially fragrances that fall in that gourmand category. But anyway, I still love citrus fragrances, and I know a lot of you out there do as well. So this will probably be a two-part, and this is part one of the best citrus fragrances of all time. So if you're a citrus fragrance lover, just like I was when I first got into collecting fragrances, then you're going to enjoy this list. Very comprehensive, designer and niche you'll find on this list. So if you want to hear what made the list of the best citrus fragrances of all time, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked, man. We're going to go ahead and jump into the list today. The first fragrance up on the list is a designer fragrance, and this is one of the most refreshing fragrances that you're going to find. It is classified as a citrus aromatic fragrance, and it's from the house of Christian Dior, and this is Dior Homme Cologne. Dior Homme Cologne. And this fragrance, as people like to talk about when they talk about this fragrance, one of the descriptive words that they like to use, or the imagery that they like to create, is to compare this fragrance to a nice, refreshing cup of lemonade. And that is one of the most accurate descriptions. I want to say that I was one of the first ones to kind of use that terminology of a nice cup of freshly squeezed lemonade when I talked about this fragrance about 2 years ago. But man, that's what this reminds me of. It's so refreshing, it's so uplifting, and that's really a theme that you'll see with this list. A lot of these fragrances that are very heavy on the citrus notes are very, very refreshing and uplifting fragrances. And of course, when it's hot outside, summertime, springtime, you can never go wrong with a fragrance like this. It has a nice combination of bergamot, lemon. I think there's lemon in this as well, and grapefruit. Nice kind of musky dry down on this. Perfect fragrance to wear when it's hot outside. Again, a citrus aromatic fragrance that is definitely worthy to be on a list like this. Now, of course, it doesn't perform that well, but a lot of citrus-based fragrances don't really perform that well. So that's not really going to be a big differentiating factor between a lot of these fragrances. But again, this one is really good. So check it out from the house of Christian Dior. This is Dior Homme Cologne. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of Tom Ford. This is from the private collection, and this one is called Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua. Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua. And honestly, man, I think people kind of sleep on this fragrance, but this is really good. If you like a nice, again, citrus aromatic fragrance, you're going to enjoy this one. It has a nice, beautiful citrus accord in the opening of this fragrance that comes from bergamot, mandarin orange, and another one that has grapefruit. The whole citrus theme is kept alive as the fragrance starts to dry down, because you start to get some lemon, and there's a lemon oil that they use in this fragrance to really give it almost slightly creamy citrus vibe as it starts to dry down. But man, this stuff is really, really good. So again, If you like citrus fragrances, this is one that I highly recommend. Definitely worthy to be on a list like this as well from the house of Tom Ford. This is called Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on this list comes from the house of Creed. I'm pretty sure the house of Creed is another house that you'll see multiple fragrances from as we go throughout the course of this volume 1, volume 2 of this particular list. But the first one that I wanted to mention is this one right here, and it's called Erolfa. It's called Erolfa. I spoke about this fragrance a few weeks ago, and I told you, to me, I think it's still one of the most underrated creeds, with the exception of Royal Water, because this is so good. Now, the ambergris in this fragrance, that kind of sea salty ambergris thing that you get in this, is really amazing, and it works really great in combination with those citrusy accords in the opening. And this one, you have a beautiful melon note. Melon, of course, lemon, lime, bergamot, all that stuff is in here, and it is so good and refreshing and relaxing. Again, as I described it on that video, if you're sitting right by the sea, by the water, and you smell the kind of sea salty aquatic vibe that you get from like being at the beach, is what I envision. And again, you have melons and all these other fruits sitting right there in front of you. If you can slice those open and get the essence of those fruits and catch the sea breeze, that's what you get in this fragrance right here, simply put, and it is to die for. So check it out from the house of Creed. This is Erolfa. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on this list of the best citrus fragrances of all time comes from the house of Mancera, and this one is simply called Sicily. Sicily. There is no way that I could have done this list and not put Sicily on this list, because you name the citrus or fruit-based fragrance note, and it is in this fragrance. We're talking about peach, we're talking about grapefruit, lemon, bergamot. It is all in this bottle. Apple, and it is absolutely mouth-watering. I always use that word as a descriptive word to describe Sicily, because that's just what it is, man. And the dry down is so fresh and kind of cozy. You get that really nice, kind of clean, musky, woody dry down on this fragrance. It's just so good, man. If you like citrus fragrances, if you like fruity kind of accords in a fragrance, then this is one you definitely have to check out, because it's one of the best in class from the house of Mancera. This one is called Sicily. Oh, and not to mention, this one gets pretty good performance as well, so definitely check this one out. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on this list comes from the house of Chanel, and while this one is not classified as a citrus aromatic fragrance, the citrus opening of this fragrance, to me, made it one that had to be on this list. And this one comes from the house of Chanel, and this is Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. And this, of course, features a very prominent note of a lemon. It is beautiful in the opening of this fragrance because it works so well in combination with the sandalwood and the tonka bean in this fragrance, giving it that creamy vanilla lemon thing that people like to always reference when they talk about this particular fragrance. And to me, again, when summertime rolls around and you think about citrus fragrances, this is one that you have to mention. So if I'm going to talk about the best citrus fragrances of all time, I have to mention this fragrance. Although it's not classified as a citrus aromatic, I have to mention this fragrance because of the beautiful lemon note in the opening of this fragrance. So from the house of Chanel, very worthy to be on this list. This is Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list was released in the year of 2013, believe it or not. And one of my favorites, I always talk about this fragrance. When we talk about fragrances that are very bright, citrusy, and uplifting, I have to mention this one from the house of Atelier Cologne. This is Cedrat Enivrant. Cedrat Enivrant from the house of Atelier Cologne. Again, if we're going to talk about uplifting, bright, and citrusy, this is a fragrance that you have to mention. When we just talk about scent DNA alone, this is one of my favorites on this entire list. As far as it just smells amazing. I love this stuff. It has citron, lime, bergamot, some basil in the heart, so a little bit of sweetness, the tonka bean in the dry down, just to kind of balance all the citrus notes out. But man, this stuff is so freaking great, man. I love this stuff. Vibrant is the word that I would use to describe this fragrance. And again, this one that I'm gonna always have in my collection. I need to get another bottle of this stuff, but it is so good from the house of Atelier Cologne. Check this one out, guys. Again, it's a lime mojito. That's exactly what this smells like. Lime is the main note, but I love it from the house of Atelier Cologne. Check this one out. It's called Cedrat Enivrant. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list was released in the year of 2008 and done by the great Alberto Morillas. One of the most easy to wear citrus fragrances you're ever gonna find. This is called Versace Pour Homme. Versace Pour Homme. Now, when you talk about the house of Versace and you look at this kind of fragrance, you think about this one, you think about Mano Fresh. But if you're talking about citrus notes, then I give the nod to Versace Pour Homme. Easy to wear, any place, anytime, anywhere in the summertime. This thing is going to work. There's a beautiful citrus accord that's created in the opening of this fragrance with the use of bergamot and lemon. And it is absolutely amazing. Dry down, you're going to get some tonka bean and musk in this one. And it's just, again, beautiful and easy to wear. For a lot of people, this is one of their primary dumb reach fragrances in the summertime, and it is gorgeous. If you're talking about citrus fragrances, the opening of this is second to none. So check it out. Again, from the house of Versace, this is called Versace Pour Homme. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on this list comes from the house of Xerjoff, and this one is called Xerjoff Neo. Xerjoff Neo, and again, you know this one had to make this kind of list, man. You're talking about the best citrus fragrances of all time. Although this fragrance is really, really green, but the opening of this with the bergamot is so photorealistic. I had to put it on the list. And again, it's just, to me, simply put, one of the best done quality citrus fragrances I've ever smelled in my entire life. So it had to be on a list like this when we're talking about the best citrus fragrances of all time. Come on, man, I had to put this on there from the house of Xerjoff, and this is called Xerjoff Neo. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list, I've been talking about this fragrance a lot lately, but when we get into summertime and I'm trying to do content that's more season specific, this fragrance is gonna come up a lot because it's everything you want in a citrus fragrance. From the house of Profumum Roma, this one is called Acqua Viva. Acqua Viva, and I've talked about it a lot because this is the best lemon note that you're gonna find in a fragrance. Best lemon note you're gonna find in a fragrance is very, very, again, another one that's very, very bright and uplifting. Lemon is the main note in this. I'm not really going to even mention some of the other notes in this, but lemon is the main note. And out of all these fragrances on this list, this is probably the best performer. So I know for a fact, if you like the note of lemon, this is one that you're really, really going to enjoy. It's a beautiful fragrance from the house of Profumum Roma. Oh, man. And they use so much oils in this fragrance. It just, again, it just makes the fragrance last so much longer. And that's something that, again, if performance is one of the things that you put high on your list when you're trying to choose a fragrance. Although this one is a little bit pricey, I think it's well worth it. So check it out. Again, this one is called Acqua Viva. All right, guys, and last but not least, this fragrance comes from the house of Bond No. 9, and this is called Eau de New York. Eau de New York from Bond No. 9. Again, a nice citrus aromatic fragrance from the house of Bond No. 9. And this thing is so bright, it's so refreshing, it's very, very zesty. That's the word that I would use to describe this fragrance. And again, we're talking about some of the best citrus fragrances of all time, and this one fits that category as well. This is another one that I get pretty good performance out of. And that's something, again, I think that is not to be dismissed about this fragrance. But again, mandarin orange, bergamot is in this as well. You have some lemon verbena. You have some grapefruit in this as well. So again, just about covers the spectrum when you talk about citrus notes on this fragrance. And it's just one that I think that, you know, any citrus, any lover of the genre of citrus fragrances will thoroughly enjoy. So check this one out. To me, this is another fragrance from Bond No. 9 that's kind of slept on. But if you like citrus notes or citrus-based fragrances, you're gonna love this one. So check out Eau de New York from the house of Bond No. 9. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time. I hope you enjoyed this first installment as I gave you 10 of the best citrus-based fragrances of all time. As always, I sincerely appreciate your time and attention to these videos because, of course, you could be anywhere else in the world, man, but you took a few moments to watch my videos, and I don't take that for granted. I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe. And go ahead and share these videos out to folks that you think could use this information or find me entertaining, because I'm your guy, Darian, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.